this session we're going to be looking at powers and roots. So if we have a power, the most common one that we use is when we say that something is squared. So when a number is multiplied by itself, we say that the number has been squared. So here's an example. So 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9. So it's normally written like this, 3 with a little 2, so that's 3 squared, and that's equal to 9. If I have a look at this square, you can see where we get the term squared from, because if I look at the area of this, then it's 1 unit by 1 unit. To find the area, I do 1 times 1, which is 1. If I look at this next square, it's going across 2 and down 2, so the area of this square, 2 times 2, which is 4. So 4 is my squared number. And the next one, we've got 3 by 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. That's the same as saying 3 squared. Okay, and the same here, 2 squared, and then the first one was 1 squared. Okay, we also have the term cubed. So when a number is multiplied by itself 3 times, we can say that the number has been cubed. So for example, 3 cubed means 3 times 3 times 3, which is equal to 27, and that's written as 3 with the little 3 on the top, which, as we said, is 27. So if I have a look at this cube, we can use it to work out the volume. So I know that my length is 3, my height is 3, and the depth of this cube is also 3. Okay, and we know that to find out the volume of a cube, we do your length times by your width, and then times by the depth. Okay, so that's 3 times 3 times 3, and that's how we get the term cubed. Okay, we've got a cube here, and they all have the same length. So that's 3 cubed, which is equal to 27. So if I had, for example, the lengths to be 4, to find the volume of it, we'd have 4 cubed, which is just 4 times 4, which is 16, and then 16 times 4, which is 64. So 4 cubed is 64. So let's try some examples. The first one says to find 8 squared. So we're just doing 8 times 8, which is 64. B is 4 squared. That's just 4 times 4, which is 16. And then for C, we've got 5 cubed. So you need to multiply 5 by itself 3 times. 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 gives me the 125. Okay, we also have the term the square root, okay, or the cubed root. So if I want to find the square root of a number, I need to think to myself, what number multiplied by itself twice gives me the number underneath that symbol, so in this case 64. So something times by itself gives me 64, and from the answers that we got above, we can see it's the 8 times 8. Okay, so square root of 64 equals 8. Okay, and then 8 squared will take me back to the 64. So for the next one, the square root of 16, something times by itself is going to give me 16, which is 4 times 4. For this next one, I've got the cubed root, okay, and I know it's cubed root because I've got that 3 there. So something multiplied by itself 3 times is going to give me 125, and we can see that from the question above, it's going to be 5. Okay, so the cubed root of 125 is 5. Okay, we can do these questions in our head. We also have the function on our calculator. Your calculator may be slightly different to this, but you should still see the same buttons. So if we want to find, for example, 6 squared, okay, the first step, you're going to tap your 6. The next step, you find your squared button, which has an X with a little 2. And then on your calculator, you're going to press equals, and you get the answer equal to 36. So try this on your calculator. So if you try that with 4, so try 4 squared, you're going to press the 4, and then square it, and then press the equal sign, and you will get 16. Okay, we're going to have a look at the square root. If the question says find the square root of 64, you're going to find your square root button. Okay, so it's a little sort of tick sign. Then you're going to tap in your number. In this case, it's 64. Press your equal sign, and you should have on your calculator the answer given as 8. Okay, so try it with some other numbers. For example, square root of 4. You can try square root of 25. Okay, square root of 4, you should get 2. Square root of 25, you should get 5. If I want to work out the cubed root of 125, so we know from the previous example that our answer should be 5, so let's just check that. So you're going to press your second function button. Okay, it's the orange button at the top. Other calculators might be slightly different, but they tend to be in the same place. So it's your second function button, and then you're going to press the square root button, because above it in orange, so in the orange writing, you can see it should have the cubed root. Okay, a little 3 with that tick symbol. Okay, so you're pressing the cubed root of whatever your number is, and you get your answer. In this case, the cubed root of 125 is going to be 5. So, firstly, without using a calculator, find these square numbers and also cube numbers. So press pause and go through and answer these questions, and then we'll quickly go through the answers. So for the first one, we've got 6 squared, which is just 6 times 6, which is 36. B is 4 squared, which is 4 times 4. And C is 2 squared, which is 2 times 2, which gives me 4. Now it says, use your answers from question 1 to find all of those square roots and cubed roots. Okay, so if I do the first one with you, what is a square root of 9? Okay, you're not using a calculator, you want to use the information that you've just found. So something squared gives me 9. Okay, and from all of those we can see it's a 3 squared. Okay, so the square root of 9 is going to be 3. Okay, the next one is the square root of 16, and so on. And now we're going to have a look at the cubed root. So a number multiplied by itself 3 times gives me 1000. That's going to be 10, we found it up here. Okay, index notation, which is what we've just seen, for example, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared. So index notation is a useful way of writing expressions in a shorter format. So all it's saying is you've got your number multiplied by itself however many times. In this example, we've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So that's 2 multiplied by itself 7 times. So the index notation of that is going to be 2 to the power of 7. If I've got another example, I've got the same number multiplied by itself, so I know I can write it as a power. So it's 4 times 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 to the power of 4. And you could probably use your calculator to find that out. You're going to use your calculator and also give your answers correct to one decimal place where needed. So for the first one, I'm just going to show you how to do that on your calculator. So just go back to this. So it's 6 to the power of 4. On your calculator, you will see a button that says y to the power of x. Okay, something like that. Sometimes they might have it the other way around, but you've got a letter to the power of another letter. Okay, so you're going to do a similar thing as before. Okay, so you press 6, you press your y to the power of x, then you press your 4 equals, and you get the answer to be 1,296. So let's try 14 squared. That's easy because we can just use our squared button. Then you're going to do 22 to the 0 and so on. So press pause and answer these questions. Don't forget to round your answers correct to one decimal place if you need to. So for the first set of questions, for A, we've got 6 to the power of 4, which is 1,296. B is 16. C is 1. Question 4 says, what do you notice about question 3E and 3H? Both of the answers are equal to 1. So we can say that 1 to the power of anything is equal to 1. So 1 to any power, so I'm just going to give it the letter x, is equal to 1. Okay, because no matter how many times you times 1 by itself, you're always going to get the number 1 for your answer. Question 5, what do you notice about question 3C and 3F? So you can see that they're both equal to 1 as well, but for a different reason. Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So it doesn't matter if you have 22 to the power of 0, 7 to the power of 0, 1 to the power of 0, it's all equal to 1. So anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, you're going to work out the sum for each of the following square numbers. I would suggest writing down the answer to each part and then adding them. So for example, question 6a, 6 squared is 36, 2 squared is 4, so I'm adding them together and I get 40. Okay, 36 plus 4 equals 40. So you're going to do the same thing for the rest of those questions. So press pause and then I'll go through the answers. So the answers for question 6 are... Question 7 says write the numbers as a sum of 2 square numbers. So for the first one, we've got 13. What two square numbers added together gives me 13? So if I just have a look at the square numbers, I've got 1. Okay, which of those add up to 13? So you can see it's going to be your 4 plus your 9. Okay, so that's 2 squared plus 3 squared. So the answer to this one is going to be 2 squared plus 3 squared. You could have had it the other way around, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so go through and find the answers to the rest of those. So the answers are... Okay, if you want some extra practice, look at the file that I sent you. You're going to have a look at Chapter 1, Exercise 1.2, and it's on pages 2 to 3. You can answer as many of those as you like.